Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be discussing the German Focke-Wulf Fw 189 Uhu, or Eagle Owl. Design, development, service history, and specifications will be provided. Before we begin, I must disclose that I am no expert and never claimed to be. Now, let's get into it. Germany was a country who heavily invested into aircraft development prior to the outbreak of World War II during the rearmament period, and throughout the war itself. The Luftwaffe filtered through a myriad of platforms, all fascinating, some more ambitious than others. But it is the relatively fragile and somewhat unassuming Focke-Wulf Fw 189 that reliably filled the role of reconnaissance aircraft. Beginning in early 1937, the German Ministry of Aviation issued a request for a three-seated, short-range reconnaissance aircraft that was explicitly designed for the role. Specifications included a total power output of between 850 to 900 horsepower and a layout optimal for viewing. The task was dealt to Arado Flugzeugwerke and Focke-Wulf, two reputable German aircraft companies. If successful, the design would replace the Henschel HS-126, which was adopted less than a year prior. Arado would submit a rather vanilla monoplane, designated the AR-198. On paper, this aircraft was favored by the ministry, as it better suited the set parameters, having a single engine and being inexpensive when compared to the Focke-Wulf design. Focke-Wulf would submit the Fw 189 Uhu, or Eagle Owl, which was erected in the mind of Kurt Tank, a brilliant aeronautical engineer and head of the Focke-Wulf design department. Tank opted for a twin-boom arrangement, and not one but two engines. This layout centralized the crew of three in an open fuselage, composed of heavily glazed framing in both the cockpit and aft cone position. 3 examples of each aircraft were requested for flight trials, which commenced in July of 1938. The Arado AR-198 would perform poorly, and was noted to feel sluggish despite following the specifications set forth by the German officials to a T. The Focke-Wulf Fw-189, on the other hand, simply embarrassed its competition. The Fw-189 was easy to handle, maneuverable, and had an ideal crew layout pertaining to visibility. Kurt Tank only loosely obeyed the guidelines put forth by the Aviation Ministry, and essentially created an aircraft unlike what was asked of him. This willingness to venture outside the confines of aircraft uniformity is what made both Kurt Tank and the Focke-Wulf Fw-189 Uhu so successful. The Eagle Owl was powered by 2 Argus AS-410A-1 V12 inverted air-cooled piston engines, producing 459 horsepower each. This propelled the Fw-189 to a top speed of 215 miles per hour and a cruising speed of 197 miles per hour. While that may sound questionably low, it was in fact its greatest asset. No aircraft on the Eastern Front could match the maneuverability of the Eagle Owl. What it lacked in speed, it more than made up for in sheer handling. Soviet fighters would be outmaneuvered, manipulated, and taunted by the nimble Fw-189. The rate of climb was 1,018 feet per minute, with a service ceiling of 23,000 feet. While the Eagle Owl was a controllable platform, it was in no way compact. Having a length of 39 feet, a wingspan of 60 feet, and a height of 10 feet 2 inches, the Focke-Wulf Fw-189 was slightly larger than the U.S. Lockheed P-38 Lightning. Obviously, the heft was drastically less, boasting a mere 8,708-pound gross weight. Armament was a necessity for such a delicate aircraft, and so the Fw-189 was outfitted with 2 MG-17s forward fixed at the wing roots. One MG-15 placed in the dorsal position, which was a flexible mount located at the back of the cockpit, midway on the fuselage, and lastly, an optional MG-15 which could be placed in the aft viewing cone, firing at a downward angle. All machine guns chambered in the iconic 8mm Mauser. Not anything substantial, but enough firepower to ward off threats. The Eagle Owl in some forms could retain 4 110-pound bombs, which it exploited often. The Focke-Wulf Fw-189 was molded into more than 15 different variations, all with slight tweaks. Some of the more notable variants include the Fw-189A1 Trop, which tropicalized the aircraft by introducing air intake filters as well as survival equipment. The Fw-189A2, which replaced the single dorsal MG-15 with the twin-barrel MG-81, a Luftwaffe standard moving forward. And lastly, the Fw-189A1-U3, a short-range VIP transport. Many other iterations of the Uhu exist that filled several vital roles during the war, and I implore you to check them out for yourself. While primarily employed as a reconnaissance aircraft and light bomber, a small number of Fw-189A1s were pushed into the role of night fighters towards the end of the war. In late 1944, their reconnaissance equipment was discarded and replaced with German airborne interception radars. The single dorsal MG-15 was then replaced by an MG-FF, a drum-fed 20mm autocannon. This small batch of converted night fighters was largely piloted by the Nachtjagdgeschwader 100, a night fighter wing which departed from an airbase out of Greifswald in northeast Germany. These converted night fighters were unsuccessful as Allied air superiority was suffocating. This, coupled with rampant fuel shortages, sealed the fate of the Fw-189, along with the rest of Nazi Germany. In total, 864 Focke-Wulf Fw-189 Uhu aircraft were completed. This encompasses all variants. The Eagle Owl would serve valiantly with the Luftwaffe from 1941 until 1945, when it was officially retired. One aircraft survives today and is part of Paul Allen's Flying Heritage Collection, located in Everett, Washington. The story behind V-71H, the last remaining Fw-189, is one for the ages and deserves a video all on its own. I hope you've enjoyed today's overview of the German Focke-Wulf Fw-189 Uhu. We are a small channel, so a like is greatly appreciated, and recommendations are always welcome. Again, I am no expert and never claim to be. Until next time, on Tipton Bros.